Hello and welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me and welcome for Funky Fold Friday, which means this is the last card of the week for this stamp set of the week, Cake Day. So we've had some beautiful cards and now we are going for a wow card. This is a Funky Fold. It is a Z fold. So it stands like that. When you can see it, so I've got some idea of what it's going to look like when it stands up straight. Okay, so there are lots of bits and pieces for it, a lot of cutting out. So I've done most of that so that we can zip through the actual card. So let's bring in what supplies we need. So I have got, let's put that aside for a second. I have got a piece of cherry cobbler. This measures 11 inches by 5 inches. We'll score this again ourselves in a second. Right, let's pick all the other pieces up. Okay, so I have bubble bath. These two measure 2.5 by 3 3/4, and this one is a 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, all the measurements will be on my blog, so don't worry if you haven't caught them on the video. Okay, so I'm doing that so that we can show you the next bit. All right, so the next bit is this piece, which is 5 inches by 3 1/2, and then I have two pieces that measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. That's that. I then have a piece of white, which is 3/4 of an inch for 5 by 5 inches. That is my, no, I'm going to go back. Bear with me. This is 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 inches, and this is for a sentiment. And then I have two pieces of plain white, and they measure 2.5 by 3/4 of an inch each. You're going to need two pieces of this white cardstock, one for the front and one for the back. I only have one with me at the moment, but you'll see why in a second. And this is the 5 by 3 1/2. So it's 3.5 by 5. Yes, so there'll be two of those that go there. Right, let's do the scoring first, which is unusual for us, but that's what we're going to do first. We're going to do the scoring. So I'm bringing in my trimmer, and the first score mark I need to make is at 2 3/4 of an inch. So this is on the 11-inch side, and I'm going to score it all the way down. That's 2 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to move it all the way across to 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to score it again. Now we've done all the scoring, but what we do need to do is we need to turn this around and we are going to cut off an inch. So we're going to make sure that this section is 4 inches. Okay, and then we're just going to cut off this section. So we now have two pieces. Okay, so we're going to fold that one that way, fold that one that way, and then we will burnish with our bone folders. So we can burnish along there, and then we can fold it in half and burnish along there. You're going to do exactly the same with this, but you're going to turn it round. So that's how it was. So the score lines were here and here, but we're actually going to turn this piece the opposite way round to the scores on the main card. So the long piece will be over these two, and the short two pieces will be over this bit. So we're going to fold in to make a half, like so, and then we're going to bring the other score line in towards us. Okay, and this creates the bend section. All right, so you've got that kind of bendy section, or you've got one mountain and one valley. All right, okay, so the next thing to do now is to do any stamping. So this is my sentiment, and I've got Happy Cake Day, and I've also cut out with my dies a flag, which I'm going to put the happy birthday on. Right, let's do that next. So Happy Cake Day, ink it up, bring that down. It's going to sit in the middle. You want it in the middle, roughly, because you're going to put something either side of the word sentiment. So there we are, Happy Cake Day. And then we are going to put Happy Birthday over here on our little flag. And that is all the stamping we're going to do for this card. Let's put those aside. Now we can put it all together. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take our bubble bath and we're going to layer that onto the correct sections of the card base. 1, 2, 3. So that goes beautifully along there. Then I've got the other two bubble bath pieces that'll go there. There we are. Oops. That goes onto there. Now the next section, you can use designer series paper if you prefer, but I have used the white cardstock. And to jazz it up, I'm going to incorporate a embossing folder. So I have got the dotted circles embossing folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up. I'm going to pop the two small pieces side by side like that. And then I'm going to take the longer piece and move that into there. Bring it over and I will roll it through the cut and emboss machine. And that will come back looking like this. Okay, so it would have come off the machine looking like that, because then you've got the whole circles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this one around because I want the pattern to carry on as if it's, you know, circles that way rather than circles at the bottom. So let's stick those down. Hopefully that made sense. I'm going to use my multi-purpose. And I'm going to run over the back. I want to make sure that the top section of each circle runs smoothly across. So I'm making sure my left and my right are good. There we go. So you'll be able to see once I put this down how it gives the illusion that the circle is carrying on. You see? Perfect. So it's going all the way over. Now I'm going to do exactly the same with this piece. I'm going to stick that on to there. Now this is the basis of putting the card together. We're now going to create a the zigzag fold part section. I'm going to pop that just back there. But first of all, I want to introduce you to all the dies that I've used and all the colours. So first of all, I've used 7 different colours. I have used, let me think, I have used Berry Burst, I have used Fresh Freesia, Bubble Bath, Melon Mambo, Cherry Cobbler, Real Red and Poppy Parade. And I have cut these all out of all the same of all those colours. So I've run the 7 colours through with all of these dies. So let me see. So you've seen the white. I didn't do it on the white. I just did the flag. It's just for the white. So I can pop that back. Oops, let's bring in my dies. Okay, so I can pop my flag back. So I've run that through the white. I have my 3 candles. Again, I've run them all through all 7 colours. 1, 2 and 3, and I have 3 left. So I've got, this is Poppy and this is Cherry and Real Red. Okay, so those are the 3 colours I've got left in those. I have then used this, which I ran through all 7 colours again, and I've got myself some trying to take them out there. So I've got Berry Burst. I've got Real Red. And I've got Cherry Cobbler. Is that right? No, that's going to just move that over. Oh, hello. Yes, better. There we go. So we're going to do that with those. Right. Then I have got myself 2 of the macaroons. One goes back there and one goes back there. I decided on using the, so what have I got? I've got, this is the Real Red with a fresh freesia inside, and I've got a Cherry Cobbler with the bubble bath inside. Okay, so that's the outside, and then these little ones are the infills. Okay, do that together. I've also got these little icicles to go on the cake or the strip of the card. And I've got 6 of those. I've decided not to have the 7th one. That's better. So I've got all the colours. Let's see what we've got. 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one is 6. There we go. Then you've got this splat, or it could be the backing for the cake, for the candles. So you could cut those all out in yellow, but I've done the multicolours as if they are a decoration going on my card. And I have chosen, I've left out the Cherry Cobbler. So I've got Real Red, Poppy Parade, Berry Burst, Melon Mambo, Bubble Bath, and Fresh Freesia. I have also cut out, using another die set called the Alphabet, just trying to think what it's called, Alphabet a la Mode dies, and I have cut that out in the Cherry Cobbler in the 80. Reason being, it's my mum's birthday very soon, and I want to make sure that she gets a special card and a wow card, so I have created the 80 for her in that, and that will go back in the other dies. So that's all my dies away. That was quick and easy. Right, let's put the rest of the card. So what I want to do is I'm going to glue the tops of the candles to the bases with my multi-purpose. Now, if you do run this through 7 times, in 7 different colours with each 3, you're going to end up with 21 candles. Depending on how your space is, depending on whether you'll need more or less. I didn't think I'd get all 80 candles on the card, so we'll see. So that was good. I've gone for 21, so she can be 21 again. And that one. I actually meant to bring in my silicone mat to make my life easier for sticking these things on. So it's because glue does not stick to the silicone mat, which is good. Makes life so much easier when you're trying to stick lots of things together. So this is my silicone mat. Okay, so let's go. We're going to let's put that onto this one. So what I'm aiming to do is for the top of the wick to be over the edge of the candle, and you'll get that little section at the bottom. There we go. Down there, which we will use. That's one. Let's put that one on this one. So you could even just lay it over the top. Have I made that? Are they the 2 colours? Yeah, I knew. Do you know, you're looking at it thinking, oops, hello. You're looking at it thinking, is that the right colour? Don't want to put 2 the same colour together. I'm just going for different shades and varieties. There we go. So we've got a different colour there. And then they've got this purple or the berry burst to go over the top. Right, now the only thing left to do is to, if you haven't seen this before, when they cut out as 2 images. You've got the macaroon and then you've got the infill. You slip it through like so, turn it over, and you can add a glue dot to hold it. But I'm actually going to use my dimensionals on this piece. So let's cut tiny pieces of them. One there and one there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dimension it across like that. So that will hold that piece. And then I'm going to do the same with that. Okay. Right. Let's move those 80s out of the way so I don't want to lose those. I'm going to bring in, so you'll see I have already stuck down the majority of the candles. I didn't want to sit here for you all to go, oh my goodness, I'm going to stick all those candles down. I'm not. I'm just going to stick these 3 down and show you how I did it. So literally the bit that doesn't have the pattern on, I'm going to put the, there we go, glue on, and lift it up, slide it down and push it into place. And that will give you the candles to be at an even level. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with this one. There we go. That will go down there. And then the last one, as I say, you could scrunch them all up a bit, or you can move them all out a bit more, and that will give you more space for your candles. There we go. So there are our candles. Now we're going to glue the Happy Cake Day on this long section. So again, I'm going to use my multi-purpose. There we go. And then the next thing I'm going to stick down is this Happy Birthday. I'm going to put a bit of the dimensional on the back, like so. And what I'm going to do is bring this in. I want to work out, move that aside for a second. I want to work out where my Z fold is going to go. So it's going to sit like that across the card. Okay. So the Happy Birthday is going to go here. So I need it to go underneath, but I'm also going to stick it down with my dimensional. This is going to be stuck down flat, so you can afford just to put some glue on there and it won't matter if it's a little bit. That's better. There we go. Right. So that's where that's going to go, and that's going to fit in just there like so. Right. Now we are going to stick this bit down. So the aim is to stick this bit just on this section here. Okay, so just this the first section. So work out roughly where your, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles. Okay, and that's where the glue is going to be. So it needs to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles, and I can put my glue on there. So I'm going to put glue down the spine of each of the candles and along the base. Okay, so I can fold that over, and it will literally go, this end of the strip will go all the way up against this strip here. Okay, she says, I've left a little lip here, so it's level with the white. Okay, and I'm just going to hold that for a couple of seconds just to make sure it sticks, and then you can fold it. So the next thing to do now is to put glue on this section. Okay, and then what you do is you keeping it with the white up against this level here, you bring it over, fold it, and then you can push it down and make sure it stays in place. When it's back, you can then rub your finger over it again and then just bring it over again. So that gives you the Z fold of the card. So the next two things we need to do are to add our white strips. I'm just trying to work out where I've put them. Aha, there they are. So one is going to go there, and one is going to go onto there like so. So again, it's just kind of glue and wriggle it down into place. And then the same with this one. Okay. And go down. I'm not pushing this down too much because I still want it to have that bend. Okay, so we're going to put it there. Now, each one of these white sentiment strips, I'm not going to have a sentiment on them, but they're going to have one of our, or three of our little swirls. And that one there, that one there, that one there, that one there, and that one there. No, I don't like that. Let's take that one out. Put that one in there. That seems a bit better. And then I'm going to do that. There we go, like that. So it's up to you. Again, you could put dimensionals. If you're not going to post it, then dimensionals probably would give it that little pop. As I'm not going to, I'm going to hand it to her. But otherwise, you could glue it down. So let's just put a few dimensionals on here. So one on here. And that can go to there. Okay. And I'm going to put one on this one. Yeah, I did. The advantage of putting the dimensionals on, because you've got these little bits that break up inside to give you the effect, the glue doesn't seep through. So it works quite well. Let's just move those out a second. I'm just going to move that up again. There we go. And I'll put that over there. Oh, hello. There we go. And that's going to go onto there. Right, got the last three to do. So let's bring in some more dimensionals. Just gonna, yeah, they don't need to be too big. So let's turn that one over. So it's a cake card without a cake, really. Next one. Oh, let's cut that bit. There we go. There we are. So as I say, it is a wow card, and it does take a little bit of time, but you can make this as complicated or as intricate as you wish, or you could just make it very, very simple. But I felt that as it was Mum's 80th, I would probably go just that little bit more. Now, the only other things we've got to do are to get the 80 on here. So that's going to go there. And then I'm going to have the splats going round. So I'm going to put one splat on there, one on there. And I may not use all of these. One there and one there. Look at that. And you know what? I think I'm going to use glue dots. So let's grab the glue dots and bring those in. So my pointy tool. There it is, glue dot. So that just goes on the back. And then you can stick your splat on a hump part or a low part. Makes life a little easier. I'm trying to do it with the glue. So there's another one. Whoops. There we go. Let's put you there. Oh, that's already stuck. Stuck quite quickly. And this one I've got, again, another glue dot up high. There we are. And then the last one for this one. And then that one can go there as well. And all I need to do now is attach my 80 and my macaroons. So my 80 I'm going to be very careful with. I'm just going to bring in my silicone mat. I'm going to add a little bit of my glue, hopefully not too much. Right. Oh, that is exactly too much. So the advantage with the silicone match is if you go over the edge, it doesn't stick, and also you can just wrap it around quite quickly and not worry too much that you're going to ruin it. Right, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to pop it into place, top, and I'm going to use my pointy tool to help me position it, or my take a pick tool. There we go. There's the 8. Right, let's do the 0. Again, we're just going to run not too much round. There we go. There we are. And that will go down there like so. And straight down. Hold it down with the pointy tool. There we are. Move that aside. So there we are. There is, oh, she said, oh, look, I forgot my macaroons. Let's do those quickly. So just take the back off the macaroons. Oh, there's a bootsy. One there. And one there. Oh, I'll take that one off. And that will go on there like so. Right. So there is our Z fold card. Closes up, goes into a folder, into a normal envelope. With all the dimensionals, in fact it's quite thick. This is one of the cards I would hand out. But as I said, it's my mum's 80th, so I will be handing this one to her. So thank you ever so much for joining me for Funky Fold Friday. I hope you like this Z fold card as much as I do. And I look forward to catching up with you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye.